Thank you for watching. Today we're taking a look at the Axial SCX10 version 2 Jeep JK Rubicon. This is a brand new release. The internet went wild, and I mean they went wild in a negative way because everybody's like, why is it a Jeep? Well, let's dive into that and a few of the other things, because I think this is actually a really cool release. Parts number is AX90060 or 960, whatever you want. I'm not one for looking at the cardboard all that long, just because it doesn't turn me on all that much. I will make sure that there's a ton of close-ups of this box, and well, in case you are a cardboard fetishist, feel free to pause it, grab a bottle of lotion and some tissues and have fun with it. Let's have a look at some of the stuff that you get in the box. Now I'm gonna go and look at all the boring stuff first. So you get a manual, parts numbers are all in there, so in case you break something or whatnot, you can just look it up, order it online, and get you out on the trails again. Get a huge bag of plastics. Now all these plastics, some of these are like spare parts, like rod ends and whatnot. There's some trail markers, a wheel thingy, so one of those cross wrenches, so you can take your wheels off. But there's also, and I mean I didn't manage to find that when I unboxed my ready-to-run Cherokee version, but there is also door handles, hood latches in this case, and that's of course that's pretty cool because there's more and more molded plastic details coming with these ready-to-run trucks. You can already tell there's some mirrors on there with actually some mirror stickers. So that's cool, and there's a whole lot of other stuff going on that I'm not going to get into right now, because first we're going to look at this radio. This is a great radio. It has a ton of range. I have not had any problems with these radios yet, and I do own a ton of them. These are, for out on the trails, they're perfect radios. If you do drop it or whatnot, you don't have to like completely get a heart attack worrying that you broke the screen on it, because there is none. There is one LED on it just to indicate whether it's on or off. You got your steering trim, throttle trim, dual rate, reverse switches on the back, on-off switch, takes 4 AA batteries, which are not included. But I like the feel of this thing as a foam wheel. It's comfortable, and I've been using these a lot. Absolutely nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Now, the car itself, or the truck itself, because some people get really upset when I say car. Yeah, it's a Jeep JK, yeah, it's a Rubicon. But no, it's not like anything that you've seen before, because there's like a whole lot of differences once again in legs and body. Now in full scale as well, it's not like they update the Jeep JK every year and we find like completely new versions of it out at the dealerships, just because it's such an iconic truck. Just like the Land Rover Defender, for example, this is just a truck that has like a huge following. This one even more so than others, I think, in the US. That's also why there's a lot of aftermarket brands that actually cling on to trucks like these to make aftermarket parts for them. For example, CRC, this is a CRC edition. I'm thinking that is, for example, this hood, which is completely modified with hood scoops and whatnot. CRC bumpers front and back, or I'm not sure if the back bumper is also CRC, but it's not one that I've seen before. By the feel of it, there is a logo in there. But also, when Axial actually wanted to have the Jeep license, they didn't just want to go, and there's a whole video that I will link in the video description, because they dropped that one yesterday or the day before yesterday. And I thought it was really interesting. They didn't just want to have a Jeep license for the Axial SCX10, they also wanted to have it trail rated. And in order to do so, they actually completed the entire Rubicon trail with an Axial SCX10 bone stock ready to run, which I think is a great tour de force, to put it like that. So yeah, that's just really cool. Now also with all these aftermarket companies sort of like clinging on and making stuff for these trucks, there's a huge incentive for them to bring these scale trucks out to full scale events, let people have a go with driving these, and perhaps also introduce them to the hobby. So those could very well be people that we will meet next year at Axial Fest, which I think is cool, because more people in the hobby means that there's more need for like quality product and innovation, and it will just grow the hobby, give us better trucks in the end. Now, if you're not happy about this body, for example, it's really easy. This is my Cherokee, and it's a Toyota, so it's really easy to change it out. Go from something that looks like a Jeep and turn it into a Toyota. There's plenty of companies, like for example Proline, making bodies and ensuring that you can turn it into something else. This is actually, I see sometimes people wonder online if I actually use my stuff. This thing is beaten to death. This is on its 4th body. Just because you don't see me crawl every week here on the channel doesn't mean that I don't use them. This one, just as a testament to quality, still running the stock servo, still running the stock receiver. The only thing that I changed out, motor, ESC, shocks, well, and wheels. And I think that that's a big thing. I stripped the gears on the transmission, so I had to replace them for some metal gears. And this one actually comes with metal gears already installed. Now I'm kind of going back and forth over here. If you take the body off, it comes with these nice big body clips, which I like, with that plastic thingy that you can easily grab. If you take the body off for the first time, do be careful, because there's some plugs. And that is because there's a full light kit installed. So in the back over here, you see that there's some clear red clusters, which I think look really good. The front has a lot of detail to it, with some clear headlights, some indicator lights. There's lights absolutely everywhere. And then also the grille is cut out to show this radiator piece, which is also already installed. So there's a lot of cool details going on. Of course, also these plastic molded fenders. And I think that that's a cool thing. It's not like Axial is trying to take away, I think, from any of the aftermarket producers. They just put together, I think, a better base. I've seen people say, why is there no interior? You know, why don't I win the lottery every week? Why can't I eat 5 pizzas a day without getting fat? Why isn't there a unicorn shitting sprinkles over my ice cream every time I eat ice cream? It's just because life isn't fair and you need to deal with it. There's plenty of room for you to customize this truck with aftermarket parts. For example, I'm not a big fan of the red, but I will just make it work. And once clear bodies come out, there's a ton of opportunity to do something cool with that hood scoop and make it look super dope. The chassis. First glance, this thing, of course, the transmission case, that will immediately catch your eye. This is a huge improvement, not just because there's metal gears inside, also because when you do take it off completely, there's actually 4 similar length screws to hold it down to the skid plate. So where in the past you found 2 different lengths of screws and then you needed to sort of like keep track of it, which nobody ever could, and then potentially mess it up, and then you needed to CA glue those screws back in place because you messed everything up. That's no longer the case with this one. Let's go front to the back. Really narrow, nice CRC bumper. Again, brand new chassis mounted steering servo. Don't expect a ton of torque, don't expect a ton of speed, but do expect a servo with metal gears that will hold up to some regular abuse. And well, again, I'm running mine for a year right now. It really still holds up, but it's not the best servo in the world. But I mean, there's plenty of options out there to change that out. The servo horn is the thing that you want to change right from the get-go, but that's really about it. These axles, they're phenomenal. AR44 axles with a high centered pinion, which means that there's a helical gear inside. Gives you a bit more clearance right behind the pumpkin, but it also keeps your drivetrain a whole lot straighter. So you can tell that these telescopical drive shafts, which are actually really good as well, because I've never had a lot of problems with them. I think I snapped 2 in my lifetime, but these go to the transmission. As long as you keep your truck light, you will not run into any issues with those plastic drive shafts. If you're really in a bind and you start doing some stupid stuff, that's where you will snap them, just like I did. The front has universals, so no dog bone construction, but actually universal to get you all this throw, because there is no trail truck available that has more steering throw than the Axial SCX10 version 2. These are all steel links. So the only thing you will run into with these is rust, perhaps, when you run it through puddles, creeks, mud. Once you start scratching it up, this will rust a tiny bit, but I don't think that that's a big deal. Perhaps gives you some extra scale points. Very rigid. I did have my doubts initially when I unboxed my first ready to run SCX10 version 2, but these are great links, hold up nicely. Even with the rod ends, I haven't been able to strip that out yet. These tires, they're new. They're Nitto tires, so they're a licensed tire again. Nice looking thread pattern on them. Of course, looks really scale. I like that they're kind of narrow and they're mounted to some KMC machete wheels, which is like a faux bead lock. So they look like bead lock wheels, but these are actually glued tires to these plastic rims. All of it pretty cool. Plastic body shocks. I could be mistaken, but I'm thinking that in the front it's a tiny bit stiffer than it used to be, which is of course a weird thing to say, but yeah, that's my initial impression that I got. But again, I could be wrong there. Another new thing, I think, again I have no reference just because I changed the shocks out on my other SCX10, but I think that the spring retainers in the bottom, I will make sure that you get a close-up of those. There's a tiny screw hole in those right now, which makes that you can clamp those spring retainers to the rod end or to the bottom end of your shock. Just to avoid, if you are one of those flexing Friday people and you completely lift the spring out of that perch, that perch may slip off out on the trails and ruin your day, or at least ruin your suspension setup for that day. Front mounted battery with some Velcro. You can fit some really big packs in here. I'm a big fan of this layout just because it puts that extra weight up front and makes your truck a tiny bit more capable. Kind of waterproof receiver box with that Tactic receiver in there. Really easy to access. This is an AE5 ESC, AE5L actually, and then I'm thinking that L stands for those two light plugs that come out that hook up to the light kit that is already pre-installed in the body. And then there's a 35 turn brushed motor. The ESC is waterproof. Brushed motors, you can run those in water. If you get them really muddy, they may stutter a tiny bit, but that's about it. You can just clean them out and you're good to go again. In terms of having a ready-to-run vehicle with metal gears, helical gears already installed in some really capable axles, matte steering throw, and electronics that will just do the job. This is really hard to beat truck. Yeah, so I'm just gonna throw a battery in this, have fun with it, and afterwards, of course, I'm going to see what I can do to customize it. But if you're out on the market to get a ready-to-run trail truck that will not break the bank, that comes with some quality licensed items, that looks pretty cool and different, then this may be the truck for you. If you want to have more information about the Axial AX90060, then you will find a link in the video description box. There will also be links to my Facebook and Instagram in case you want to be a tiny bit ahead of what I'm doing over here on YouTube. If you have any questions or comments or hate mail, you can leave that in the comment section. I will reply to you. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. That's always greatly appreciated. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's free. No GoFundMe, no PayPal, no Patreon, no bullshit like that. And I hope to see you the next one. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Back on.